A man and a woman may have grown up in the same country. Technically, they speak the same language. But most of us, we don't notice that men and women each have their own subculture with different developmental paths based on the needs of their biological design. They have the same goal to become a healthy human being, but how they define a healthy human being is virtually the opposite, including how they use language. In this video, we're continuing our series on communication by recognizing gender differences in the meanings we assign to words. Remember, a man is more sensitive than a woman. I know a lot of people don't believe that because he's sensitive to different things than she is. So most of the time, a woman has no idea that something she said or did could come across to him as attack, blame, or criticism. Likewise, his direct approach to conversation feels natural and healthy to him, but it can hit her like a ton of bricks. This is where we need to understand the power of our language and that words often hold very different meanings for a man than they do for a woman. Here's an example that hurt a man. I was coaching an engaged couple who had hit a roadblock on their way to the altar. Metaphorically, not literally, of course. As they struggled to understand one another, the woman looked at her fiancé and said, "I hate that I'm causing you so many problems. Maybe you'd be better off without me. Maybe it'd be better if I just walked away." Now, you can understand her statement, right? She sounds like she's willing to sacrifice her happiness for his. But that's not what he heard at all. What he actually heard was, "You better get your act together, bud, or I'm out of here." He was deeply wounded by her statement and didn't want it to show. So he stiffened his upper lip and shut her out to protect himself. She didn't even notice that in the moment. When I told her how he heard her statement, she looked at us both in disbelief. Then he confirmed my translation from female expressive language into male receptive language. That what she had said was not what he had heard. His sensitivity had colored the meaning of her words. He was listening through the filter of his vulnerability and his intense fear of being inadequate. Now, consider the reverse. A woman is highly sensitive to relational cues, especially from her romantic partner. Another engaged couple had just picked up their engagement photos right before they hopped on their premarital coaching call. She was visibly upset. He had no idea why, and I couldn't ignore it. She told me what happened. Her first reaction to the photos was that she didn't like the way she looked. She told her future husband that she thought she looked fat. His response? He gave her advice about diet and exercise. He was trying to be helpful, practical, solution-oriented. But she didn't hear helpfulness. She heard criticism. She heard, "He thinks I'm fat." But that wasn't what he was thinking at all. He was in love with her. He genuinely wanted her to feel confident and beautiful. He had no idea his words were landing as criticism. Again, what was spoken and what was heard were two different realities. This is the heart of couple miscommunication. A man's words and a woman's words are given meaning through emotional filters. He hears threat where she intends to expose her vulnerability. She hears criticism where he intends to support. Without knowledge of their gender differences, each can easily assign meaning that was the opposite of what the other person intended. And that's why this is not a simple communication skills issue. It's an issue of understanding. Inside Man, Woman, and the Psychology of Marriage, the 6-week core curriculum, we explore this concept in depth, how men and women interpret tone, wording, and emotional content differently, and how to decode those differences before they harden into resentment. When couples understand the why behind these patterns, they stop internalizing what was never intended as a personal attack. They begin translating instead of reacting. And that shift changes everything. Learning the language of the opposite sex is not about walking on eggshells. It's about wisdom. It's about clarity. It's about creating an extraordinary marriage together. The best place to begin is with understanding his perspective and her perspective, not as stereotypes, but as psychologically informed realities. You can start with the free resources at drdebismith.com, because what has been lost in translation can be recovered through knowledge that leads to understanding and transformation. Thanks for being here with me. We'll continue this series on couple communication in the next video. Until then, take care, keep learning, keep loving.